Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. This is Amanda Kelly with this art called Life. So today is day 8 of my Let There Be Light series, and today we're actually going to start diving into the dark side. So without the dark, there couldn't be any light. So today we're gonna talk about these ideas of duality, of polarity, of separation, and shadow work. So what are they? What do these ideas mean? So that from that level of understanding, we can then dive a little bit deeper. So the thing is, there is a lot of light coming into the planet, especially this year. I mean, the sun itself is literally, there's a lot of solar flashes. So from that straight up scientific perspective, there's a lot more light. But what happens is when the light shines bright, then it illuminates the shadows, so we can see what's in the shadows, the demons, what's the skeletons in the closet. Hey guys, thanks for joining. So that's the thing that we're dealing with right now, is that there is so much more light that actually it's forcing us to look at the dark. It's forcing the shadows to come to the light. So that's kind of what's happening collectively, but also personally. When we are kind of going through the dark, it's so that we can actually more fully embody the light. And without the dark, we can't fully do that. We can't fully embrace and integrate and fully embody the light without the dark. We do kind of need, as humans having this human experience, and we are here to transcend this duality and polarity, which again, I'll get into that. But as humans having this human experience, this is part of our job, is to go through the dark, to integrate the dark into the light, and to really experience both so that we can more fully appreciate the light. So if we didn't experience fear or anger or despair, we wouldn't really be able to have the full experience of love and joy and serenity. So, thanks. I'm glad that resonates with you. So that's the thing. We do have to experience this duality in order to fully appreciate, understand, and embody the light, the higher vibrational, freer, expansive ways of being. So it is a process, and it's not always a fun or comfortable process, but going through and examining, number one, becoming aware of the shadow, examining it, looking at it, integrating it, this is what actually allows us to reach our full potential. Because if we ignore the shadow, ignoring it will keep us from reaching our true potential. So it actually, if we want to grow as humans, if we want to ascend in consciousness ourselves, we do have to embrace these shadows. We do have to confront them. And I say have to loosely. We all have free will. We all have, freedom of choice. And there are multiple pathways, but the human experience is one of duality and polarity. Thank you. I'm glad that, you agree. So we do we have the choice. We don't have to per se, but the human experience is here to allow us to transcend these notions by going through that dark night of the soul. That I'll get into that later actually too. We don't actually, it's not necessary to experience a dark night of the soul, but there isn't room for spiritual bypassing. So there is a necessity to examine the shadows. Whether you fall fully into a dark night of the soul is your own personal journey, and that is kind of up to you, and when and how willing you are, and when you actually confront the shadows will kind of determine that. But so for now, understand that going through the dark is a human experience that is more or less required in order for us to transcend these experiences and raise up our vibration, raise up our frequency. So that's what's going on collectively in 2020. We are given the opportunity right now to face those shadows, to shed the limiting beliefs. That's what we're being given right now, is this opportunity to do the shadow work, to transcend these ideas of polarity and duality. So, okay, let's take a step back. What is duality? What is polarity? Duality is this idea of separates, two opposites. So light and dark, good and evil, black and white. What else? Pretty, ugly, anything that's opposite, yin and yang. And actually what's beautiful about the yin and the yang is that the symbol of the Chinese symbol of the circle with the yin and the yang integrated, it is this idea of integrating to create a perfect whole, to create this balance. It's a balance, and that's why those little dots are there, because it's this idea of balancing the dark and the light and integrating them to create a perfect whole. So I hope that makes sense. And to take it a step further, duality of man is this idea of the separation of the body and the soul. So this is taking it to a deeper level, a deeper layer of understanding this idea of duality. So we have separated the two, just like mind and body have been separated, body and soul have been separated. So in our understanding, we see the soul, we see the spirit as these higher levels that are kind of separate from the body, and we're having this human experience, so we understand through the body, through the physical reality, the material world, all of that. The truth with a capital T, is separation, duality, polarity are actually illusions when we come up to the level of beyond this human experience. So I hope this is all making sense so far. But we are here to integrate body and soul. So to come back in alignment with our soul, to tap back into our inner wisdom, to really tune in to our heart wisdom, because this is the layer of our soul being. So really, the separation is an illusion. However, it does take work, the shadow work, to work through that separation, to work through the layers that are preventing us from feeling connected at the soul level. And once we are connected at the soul level, everything blossoms, everything opens up. We are in alignment with our truth. We are in alignment with our true nature, which is basically love, unity, oneness, abundance, joy. Instant manifestation happens when we are aligned. So when we're talking about law of attraction and manifesting, we do actually need to investigate those shadows first and foremost if we want that manifestation to actually manifest, for it to work, for it to succeed. So it's necessary if we want to reach our true potential, doing this shadow work. So we all do have a dark side, and that's something that I also want to address here. This is actually an opportunity for us to examine that very notion of repressing the darkness within. It's this layer of shame for so many people, that we do have this darkness that we feel like we have to suppress and repress, and these emotions that we don't feel comfortable experiencing because we're not supposed to, or we need to, have a stiff upper lip about situations. And sometimes there is the need for that, but at the end of the day, we also do have this necessity to integrate and to examine these ideas, these emotions, these suppressed feelings, if we do want to transcend them, if we do want to elevate our emotional experience and elevate our experience of life. So ignoring and suppressing these darker, uncomfortable emotions actually manifests in mental illness. It manifests in physical disease in the body. Disease in the mind can result in disease in the body. It can result in addiction. It can result in a scarcity mindset and low self-esteem. So honestly, like sweeping everything under the rug, ignoring the skeletons in the closet, and not looking at the demons and the shadows that exist within us is actually going to keep us in the darkness. So that layer of ignoring, that would be toxic positivity, pretending everything's okay, pushing through and not actually examining the deeper layers. That would be toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing. And that's really not helpful, because we're just going to keep falling back to where we were if we don't actually look at those layers. So we have to actually examine all the stuff that's underneath if we actually want to move forward, if we actually want to elevate. So ignoring that shadow will just keep us in the shadow even longer, and it will often manifest in something that's even worse, a situation that's even worse than we're experiencing now, if we are kind of experiencing a dark night of the soul. So again, ignoring the shadow is what prevents us from reaching our true potential. And without going through the dark, we cannot fully appreciate the light, and we won't have the same depth or texture. We won't have the same depth of understanding or appreciation of the light. So it's really not a bad thing. Doing this shadow work is scary, but it's actually really, really, what opens up on the other side is really beautiful. Embracing the duality, examining it, and then integrating it all, transcending the duality, will help us transcend this human experience of fear. We're mired in the duality notion of fear and all of that heaviness. These heavy, denser emotions are keeping us from reaching our true potential. They're the blocks, they're the limiting beliefs, they're the fears, they're the suppressed emotions, the suppressed trauma that we haven't dealt with. They're literally the skeletons in the closet. So we do want to open this up, open up the closet, look under the rug, shed more light into the shadows, so that we can actually transcend it, transmute it, heal it, integrate it, release it. Whatever that process looks like for you, it's going to be unique to you, because you are the only one who has experienced your personal shadows. So I believe that's more or less what I have to say. So yes, we have to integrate these hidden parts of our being. This is also coming from, this isn't just grounded in spirituality, woo-woo stuff. This is Jungian psychology. This is grounded in psychology. And this is what will ultimately give us that inner strength and resilience to move forward no matter what. It's an introspective psychological practice is really what it is. Doing the shadow work is an introspective psychological process. And it's extremely powerful once you actually dive in, once you actually face the shadows. Stuff will come up. And again, it's not an easy process. It's not so comfortable, but it is so worth it, because once you get through, the light shines even brighter and it's more beautiful, and life becomes all the more magical. And that's when the light shines even brighter into the darkness, and brighter and brighter and brighter we go, and higher and higher and higher we rise. So it is really a beautiful process if you can take yourself out of it for a minute and give yourself the perspective of saying, okay, I'm ready to face the shadows because I'm ready for something better. I'm ready to be the greatest potential of myself. I'm ready to do this. So once you're in that space, everything unfolds, everything begins to blossom, and the synchronicities begin to come into your life more and more and more. Things begin to align, and the shadows will start to release. You'll start to shed the limiting beliefs. You'll start to shed all the heaviness, the density that's been holding you down and keeping you back, and then your life will just blossom before your eyes. So I will leave it there for today, and tomorrow I will dive a little bit deeper into the notion of shadow work and how to do it. So tune in tomorrow, and I'm sending you so much love, guys, so much appreciation for being brave, for having the courage to show up and do this work, because it's so important right now. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for being you. Thank you for shining bright. Onward and upward, guys. Love you.